You have an aspiration to be prime minister one day.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself overcoming the main barrier that I see with politicians, which is, and this is speaking for the ones that are genuine,
Yeah.
which there are not many, if any. So I might be just being gassed, but
Yeah.
they'll come in like the what's it called? The crooked politicians will come in. Yo, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? You know, change this, change that, lower this. We might have to raise this, but it's cool, guys. You know what I'm saying? Go with it. The genuine politicians will come in with a bit of that spiel, but they'll be mad honest with you, like on bare stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they'll be realistic with you, right? And then you might vote for the realistic guy, but when he comes into power, he realizes that like it's not just me that has to make all these decisions, really.
Yeah.
So how do you see yourself overcoming that? Say you come to the prime ministry of the England. I don't know, prime minister of
Uh,
England.
um. Well, I think my values, so of honesty, integrity. But I think what it is, I think there's two things that when you asked that question that came to my mind.
Mm.
Firstly, when Marcus Garvey said, anything you want to hide from people, put it in books. People don't read. And then secondly, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. I think there's a big thing about education. There's a big thing. Before you even look at the politicians, do you understand the politics, the political realm you're living in? Do you understand local government? Do you understand the local authority? Do you understand the responsibility of do you understand the responsibilities of the people that you're trying to hold accountable? Like like for example, you're you know you're all right for the TFL. That's a great example. Like the roads, the roads they're manic right now. You can't get buses. The roads and the TFL, before TFL can make any changes, they have to go to the council for the council to agree it first before TFL can make any changes to bus routes, to roads, to bus stops, anything, any problems you have, you go to TFL, they go right back to the council. They go back to the people. So I think there's a big thing about with the people you're holding accountable, are you actually holding the right people to account? You've got councillors, which some are cabinet members. Councillors are not paid by the council. They're basically volunteers. If you're a cabinet member, you get paid. So when you're a councillor, most time you have a 9 to 5 job. How can I be dedicated to my community when I've got a 9 to 5? These things are there, they're written down, they're there, they're easily accessible. But what it starts with is educating the people to let the people know this is what I'm responsible for, this is what I'm doing. You know, when you go to your when you go to your constituency office to talk to your MP and tell your MP your problems, and your MP says, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. The MP is going back to the same person you are having problems with. Because there's a hierarchy, there's a system that they follow. So that's the first thing about education. I think secondly, I'll just be honest. This is what I can do. I can hold local schools to account. The government can't hold like academies. You got Harris,
Mm.
Oasis. Local councils can't actually hold them to account
Mm.
because they are businesses.
Right.
They
Okay.
they're businesses. They get their instruction from the government. So you've got a problem, you're going to the council. The
Mm.
council will take your problem. They'll feed back to the school. The school actually don't have to do anything because the
Mm.
schools are not owned by the councils anymore. There's no the jurisdiction has now been taken out of council's hands. So things like that, I would share and tell people what I can actually do. Thirdly, accessibility.
Mm.
As a politician, as a teacher, as a local politician, you are someone of service. And this is what politicians fail to understand. You are here to serve the community. You're here to serve the country, serve the people, everyone who's living in the country. You're here to serve them. But that is not really relayed. They're there as the superior people, higher echelons of society. But your tax pays them. If everybody say I'm stop paying tax tomorrow, I don't know what they're going to do because they don't have no salary. So my thing is about being accessible. being open and honest, saying, listen, this is what's going on. This is what's going to happen. You can vote for me or you don't want to vote for me. That's fine, but this is what I can do. So I think there needs to be that accessibility. Like, for example, on a Friday, you can actually go to Parliament and demand to meet your MP on a Friday. Every Friday, Parliament, and they ring them, and your parliamentary MP has to come and see you unless they're in a meeting or they're busy. How many people know that? So you're emailing, and the mailbox is full, or we only monitor this mailbox this day, that day, but they don't want to be accessible.
Mm.
So me, I'll be accessible. Plus, I'm representing the community where I come from. I'm representing people who look like me, and also who don't look like me, because as a politician, you have to be there for everyone. You can't just be there for a selected group. But I'm there for the people where I come from, there for the people who look like me, talk like me, come from the same similar experiences like me. And because of my experiences, I'll be able to create that change. And unfortunately, when you're in politics, it's a big pond and you're a little fish.
Mm.
And you've got to grow, but you've got to have that mindset. And I think a lot of the time our politicians conform and they just follow the crowd.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I'm standing out of the crowd. Me as a politician, I want to bring the people with me. The people who elected me, I'm supposed to bring them in. If there's a meeting that I can invite them to, if they don't come, that's on them, innit? But I've said, listen, this is what's going on. This is what we're going to be discussing, and we're trying to make change.